Okay. Huh. So it will be almost a 2 months course actually, because 30 days theoretical classes and 10 days practical classes. Apart from that, you need a time to prepare after this course. It depends upon every candidate how much knowledge he is able to get, and he is capable of explaining each and every topic whatever I have taught in these 40 days. So I will be taking mock interviews initially, 4 to 5 interviews you have to give, then after resume preparation. So resume preparation matters because it's not like RF. You have to make a very good resume in order to be shortlisted for LT protocol testing. So based on resume, key skills and keywords, HRs will select their shortlist and they will give to their project managers in the company. So based on the resume only you will get a call. And I will be helping you in vacancy job applying. So there are many vacancies right now in many companies for LT protocol testing. You might be seeing in LinkedIn or Naukri, you might be receiving. I can refer in my company as well. As I am working in Samsung, I take the first round and second round interviews if there are any openings. So that's not an issue. For the first thing and main is to focus on interview cracking skills. What are the knowledge required to crack an interview? So I will be going into deep of this LT. Let's go to this. Yeah. Uh, as you might have aware of this architecture before for 2G and 3G, right? So this is the architecture, and how the internodes are inter technologies are connected. So my teaching will be based on PPT and paint as well. It's not a blackboard testing, blackboard teaching kind of thing. You will be understanding once we go, once we proceed. If any doubt, you can let me know. And this is the internal external architecture, how the internodes are connected for any RAT, 2G, 3G, or LTE. But we have to learn about these things, this EUTRON and EPC. So combinedly in an LTE architecture, there are two parts, EUTRON and EPC. Uh, the testing which we are going to learn is for EUTRON, that is eNodeB testing. This is the eNodeB and this is the UE. So there is a separate entity in every company. There will be like Samsung, they have a eNodeB testing team as well as the UE testing team. So there are different there are different domains. There are almost 150 profiles in this telecom. So you can choose for your job, or I can say for your career once you enter into protocol testing. Okay. So, like you might be doing right now optimization kind of thing. Before you might have done our drive test, right? So in drive test, we generally check the basic scenarios, whether calls, SMS, MMS, and these uplink, downlink, throughput. So these things is happening or not in a network. So that's a eNodeB testing. After cutover or rollover or something like a new deployment, you might be testing. Am I audible? Hello?
You can continue.
Okay. Okay. So like that, we are having setups in the lab. So those drive testers, so whatever they do, are optimization engineers. Whatever they analyze logs in the office. So that that kind of work we do in protocol testing, but in a professional way and very in depth. So you have to understand that and get the knowledge of these all these nodes, eNodeBs as MME and HSS as gateway, P gateway, PCRF, IMS, PDN. If you are an IMS engineer, so in a LT protocol, so if for each and every node there will be a specific engineer, and there will be a specific team. They will verify a new software. A new software means, and there are developers. Developers actually they develop some features based on the requirements. Requirements comes from the customer. customer who are people are customer, or else operator is a customer. So they will give some of the requirements to the companies are 3GPP. 3GPP is a body internationally made up of like some groups, some teams from America, Japan, China, and Germany. They will jointly work on some new features. Like previously, there was no any 100 megapixel camera in a mobile phone. There was no very high speed like Wi-Fi, and there was no broadband like massive MIMO thing in LTE. There was no those concepts were not there. We were getting only 100 Mbps in a release date. But nowadays with LTE we can get up to 2 Gbps data rate with carrier aggregation. So how this happens? It depends upon the UE model and network performance and enhancements day by day, or monthly, or quarterly, half yearly, yearly. They have some requirements. Customers give customers requirements to companies have architecture engineers who are well experienced and having almost 10 to 15 years of experience in telecom. They will design what are the requirements are there. They will make an architecture. They will be having an in-depth knowledge of the technology. So they will prepare the detailed 3GPP specifications. So these specifications will be released. Based upon these specifications, companies like Ericsson, Nokia, Huawei, ZTE, Samsung, or Qualcomm, they will make their products. They will develop some features, and they will dump into this UE and eNodeB. If it is eNodeB feature, like Samsung or Nokia, they will write a code and to develop those features. So how those code will be written? uh, every entity like eNodeB or UE or MME, S gateway, P gateway have some internal layers. Actually, they have 5 layer physical layer, MAC layer, RLC, PDCP, RRC, NAS. So all these layers, how the interaction will between one layer to other layer will happen, what physical layer has to conform MAC layer, and MAC layer, what is the functionality of MAC layer, and how it interacts with RLC layer. All these are written for a feature in the form of C code, C language. They will write a code, developers. So that's not an headache for us, because the developers, the team, those are different. We are into protocol testing. So whatever they write codes for these layers, like how UE's file layer will interact with eNodeB's file layer, how MAC layer of UE interact with eNodeB's MAC layer. So how eNodeB will interact with MME, MME again will interact with some other entities, S gateway, P gateway, those things. So these are the coded form actually in C language. So these testings before releasing into the market, there will be a team, system verification team, system integration team, and protocol testing team. So there are different protocol testings actually: Wi-Fi protocol testing, Bluetooth protocol testing, LTE protocol testing. So we are mainly concerned about LTE part of this UE and LTE part of this eNodeB. eNodeB may have different features as well. UE may have different features like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. So there will be a different team to test. But what we are concerned about, LTE only. So we will test functionality of file layer, L1, physical layer, MAC layer, RLC, PDCP, RRC, NAS. So what we test actually, this will be, I will explain in practical classes. Like I said, what is the role of a drive tester? He has to test MO call, MT call, uplink, downlink, throughput, right? SCFT, if he is doing handovers, reselections, right? So you might be aware of those things. But what is the role of optimizer? Can anyone tell? Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Can anyone tell what is the role of optimizer?
Optimize
To
the
monitor the
network.
network performance,
Yeah, monitoring network
to improve the
performance.
network performance.
Yeah, any log analysis? Yeah, optimizer will be doing also a log analysis
After
for layer 2, layer 3. If some failure happens, like
Yes, yes.
if, yeah, handover failure happened, call drop happened,
call drop.
Hmm.
right?
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
so like that on in LT also, in a lab we test a MO call, MT call, MMS, SMS, uplink downlink throughput between this UE and E node B, this UE and E node B. So each and every functionality we will test. E-node B may support up to previously the E-node B was supporting only 64 UEs at a time, and after feature enhancement came like 256 UE E-node B can support at a time. But now they have evaluated features for 1024 UEs at a time. So how these enhancement are happening every day or every month or quarterly. So every engineer testing team, they will test these features for all the UEs. It may be single UE connected to one E node B, or 64 UE can connect it to one E node B. In a lab, we have a setup. The setup I will explain you in later. Okay, so it's a not a different, not a new thing that drive test is doing and protocol tester is doing. So similar thing, but in
Okay.
a different way.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you have got notes.
Yes.
Okay.
No, no.
Uh, Without notes, it's difficult. I told you to bring notes. Okay. Let's come to the LT part. This is our first class. What we are going to learn. So as you know, this LT is the enhancement of UMTS. So more the throughput, better the throughput in LT compared to UMTS, as well as there are so many other features as well. So LTE comprises of EPC and EUTRON, two entities. The first question in the interview, they will ask you if you are going for face to face. They will give you pen and a paper, and they will tell you to draw the LTE architecture. This is the architecture, and explain each and entity of this architecture, like EUTRON, eNodeWiz functionality, MME functionality, S gateway, P gateway functionality, PCRF functionalities, HSS functionalities. This question was asked by Qualcomm when I attended interview for the first time. So I will be explaining you each and every question with the topics, whatever I explain. So you can write it down at the end of your book, last two pages. Make reserve it for questions only, so that
Yes.
you will be prepare while preparing for interviews. You will come to know what kind of questions can arrive. Uh, Anyhow, when you give mock interviews to me, you will be perfect actually. But for better experience, you can write it down. It will be helpful. Okay, can you draw this architecture, this LT architecture, this first one in your notebook?
Yeah.
Anyhow, I will be sharing you documents, easy documents which can be understandable. You can go through later, but during the class you make a note. The second image is not needed, it's just for reference. So how the other technologies like non 3GPP, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, those are how LTE can access which interfaces. The mostly companies, they will ask you this architecture and their interfaces. Yeah, please let me know once you are done.
Done.
Okay. So during the course, we have to learn about each entity and their interfaces, why it is used. These all interfaces are connected through IP. Each node has some IP. So you might be seeing some people while integration and commissioning in the field. So they will connect some cable, USB cable to this board, and they
Yeah.
will connect to their laptop, and they will configure something, right? So these are the configurations initially we do in lab. The same thing, whatever they are doing in the field before deployment, those things we will verify in the lab, and there will be separate integration and commissioning team. People will do. So no need to worry about this. They will make it ready, and they will give you to test whether it is a Enode B or a UE. If it is a new software for UE, you have to test UE, and if it is a new software for Enode B, you have to test the Enode B functionality. So there are different companies I told you, like Qualcomm. They are specifically meant for UE. They are making UE chipsets, and the companies like Ericsson, Nokia. So they are specifically into network domain. Network. They are building a big network. They are developing features for network, whether it is a eNode B feature or S gateway, MME, AMF for 5G. So they are into the network domain. They will develop network related features. uh, so there are a lot of requirements in network side. There are limited openings at UE side, because we have a limited companies like Qualcomm and MediaTek for UE side. But if you are going into network side, there are hundreds of companies or options available.
So we are going to test eNode B side.
No, I will be teaching you about both UE testing as well as the
Okay.
eNodeB testing.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So whenever you apply through Naukri or something else, or direct company, you can say that
Mm.
I know eNodeB testing as well as the UE testing. The probability of getting shortlisted or getting job is very high if you are both engineer,
Okay.
LT protocol UE tester as well as the eNodeB tester.
Okay.
Okay, so need not to worry about whether it is a UE specific or Node BI specific. If you are perfect in LT protocol testing, whether it is a UE side or Node B side, they will take you. It's not a mandatory that you must have this knowledge, UE side knowledge, or you must have only Node B side knowledge. The people nowadays taking the companies are taking who has minimum knowledge, because the requirements are more and candidates are less in LT protocol. So need not to worry about uh, jobs. So coming to LT, why LT came? Because it supports release 8, LT release 8 when it came in 2008. It was supporting up to 300 Mbps in downlink and 75 Mbps in uplink. Later, new enhancement came like carrier aggregation. We can get up to 150 Mbps in uplink as well nowadays, and 2 Gbps data rate in uplink in downlink. So it's just a
2
overview.
Gbps in LT or 5G?
No, in LT.
2 Gbps.
Yeah, 2 Gbps. We are getting in the lab. How we will get, I will explain you.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. In lab, okay.
Yeah, in when we start practical, I will let you know how we are getting. So basically, LTE has different features: carrier aggregation, coordinated multi-point, many features. IC, right? So you can go through one website. I will tell you that website at the end.
Is there massive memo available in LT?
Yeah, Massive MIMO also. In Samsung, they are testing in India. Massive MIMO is going to deploy in Geo network.
Massive memo is used only for 5G or for both
No,
LT and
it's a 4G feature.
4G feature? Okay.
Yeah, 4G as well as the 5G. But till now
Mm-hmm.
in India there is no 5G, so that's why Geo is going to deploy next year by end of this year, November. They will be deploying Massive MIMO in LT network. We are testing. We are working on
Okay.
Massive MIMO only and advanced
Okay.
features. So LTE
Okay.
supports main features of LTE is it supports variable bandwidth. The interviewer can ask you these questions. what are the LT bandwidths UE can support. So you can tell this it supports 1.4 megahertz, 3 megahertz, 5 megahertz, 10, 15, 20 megahertz, up to 20 megahertz. And due to this flexibility of variable bandwidth, it has a more capacity to capacity for the users, as well as the better throughput as compared to the UMTS, which was having only 5 megahertz limited bandwidth, right? And it can support multiple FDD, TDD technologies. So what are these FDD technology, TDD technology? We will going into depth.
Maximum how many bandwidth we can
Okay.
use in LT?
Maximum 100 megahertz.
Means 20-25 time.
Yeah, 5 carriers with the 20 megahertz. So that is the advanced feature, carrier aggregation.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
And it has a, obviously if the throughput is high, and it means that latency is very low.
Latency is very low.
Yeah. So you can get
Okay.
browsing within seconds, within milliseconds.
Within seconds. Okay.
So these are the overall features. Spectral efficiency will be high as compared to HSDPA, HSUPA in 3G, obviously.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it supports, LT supports interworking with both 3GPP and non-3GPP technologies. What are these 3GPP? 3GPP means it supports CSFB features, right? You might be doing
Okay.
CSFB,
Okay.
SRVCC in Drive
Yeah.
Plus. So
Yeah.
it goes
Yes.
3G, LT to LT means 3GPP, and LT to LT also 3GPP. Non-3GPP means this LT to CDMA. CDMA is a non-3GPP. The Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, those are non-3GPP. So it can support Wi-Fi with LTE as well as the Bluetooth with LTE. Nowadays, new feature came in LTE, like unlicensed band.
Wi-Fi call.
Yeah, Wi-Fi call.
Yeah.
How it supports?
Wi-Fi call.
Because it has a support for interworking with non-3GPP technologies, right?
Okay.
So due to this, it has many features, like it is very better than 3G.
Okay.
Seamless mobility. So handovers also, it will be a smooth handover. There will be no data loss as compared to 3G. When handover was happened,
Disconnectivity of
yeah,
data call, data.
yeah, disconnectivity of data will not happen. Data stalls will not happen during the handover or reselection. If you are moving,
Okay.
yeah. So there will be a continuous data flow in the LTE network, LTE UE. So this is the advantage.
Okay.
And it supports IP version 4, IP version 6 connectivity as well. So what are these IP version 4, 6? You can search into the internet. That's not a matter. Main objective, as from the network point of view, it helps in deployment because it supports up to 20 megahertz, 1.4 to 20 megahertz. Operator can choose 20 megahertz for TDD and 10 megahertz for FDD, or 10 megahertz for FDD, 5 megahertz for other band like band 3, band 5, band 40 geo use. It depends upon the flexibility, right?
Okay.
So you might be knowing about these things. So there are LTE bands in LTE bands, like FDD bands and TDD bands. So please make a note of this. LTE supports FDD bands and as well as the TDD bands. FDD bands is 1 to 32 actually. This question they will ask you in interview. What are the bands you tested, and what are the bands, how many bands it supports LTE?
For FDD, how many bands?
Yeah, 1 to
What are
32
the
bands.
bands for the
Can you repeat again question?
FDD supports 1 to 32 bands. This is 31, but additional one band is there.
What is the question?
How many bands LTE can support?
These are the frequency range, right?
Yeah, these are the frequency range for uplink and downlink. So in FDD, what happens? There will be a different frequency for downlink and different frequency for uplink, right?
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so these are the frequency range. No need to note down. Just make two lines. FDD supports up to 1 to 32 bands, and TDD supports
What about
33.
TTD?
TDD supports 33 to 46 band.
Is these bands are available existing? Are anybody using these bands for
Yeah,
TDD?
yeah. These bands,
Band 33
some other countries are using, like USA, North
out of
America,
okay.
Brazil, or Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Those people will use
Mm-hmm.
some different. This is overall band supported by LTE in the world actually. So
Okay.
Geo
Okay.
is using band 3 FDD and band 5 FDD, and TDD Geo is using band 40. This one in India.
Okay. Okay.
So similarly, Airtel might be using band 3, band 5, band 8, like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Band 8.
yeah, and band 41,
Band
band
8.
42 might be using Airtel. So
No. No. Band 40 they are using right now.
yeah, band 40. Okay, only one band 40.
Only band 40. Yes.
Okay, okay. So it is similarly like Geo. So in India, these are the specified band, and in some other countries, there will be using some different bands. So it depends.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So how the architecture look like? Previously, for 3G, it was having Node B, RNC, SGSN, GGSN. So these are the nodes which was there in 3G. So, when they enhanced some features in 3G, they have reduced one of the nodes, and the data flow they bypassed without SGSN. So you might be knowing the functionality of SGSN, I think so. So later they removed this RNC. They have clubbed this RNC functionality to this in Node B.
Not way.
Yeah. After
Okay.
that, in release date, what happened? LTE came. They have just made this RNC plus Node B to eNode B, and they bypassed these things, all these nodes. They just maintain MME for control plane, signaling purpose, and for data plane from eNode B to S gateway directly.
Okay.
What is release? Release.
Sorry, your voice was breaking.
What is release 6.7? What is release 7 and
Yeah. This release actually when 3GPP those body formed in around 99. So they have released different nodes. If you go to 3gpp.com, 3gpp, there is a website. They will be releasing every year some nodes with new features or functionalities which is developed, has to be developed in the UE as well as the eNode B or any network entity, MMES gateway, P gateway. So they will be releasing a big document. These are the documents, big releases. They will specify these release will have a detail about each and every entity, how it can be developed, how it can make in a company, and it can make develop eNode B or UE. So you can think these are the documents. Releases are nothing but a documents by which engineers in a company or architects or senior engineers, project managers, they will discuss about each and every part in this document. What are the things need to be developed, how we can develop. They will follow the release process, whatever they mentioned in the 3GPP. So it's nothing but a document which explains about the detailed for new features, what are the new features are available based on customer requirements, and how you can develop it internally. Okay. So what is the time actually? Please let me know. I think some limitation is there.
40 minutes
Yeah.
from
If
limitation.
my screen is not
We have
visible, please let me know. We will log in again. Okay. The same ID
okay.
and
Okay.
password is available.
Okay.
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 So We will be going through the each entity details: MMES gateway, P gateway, HSS, PCRF. Okay, now you can write down in your notes what are the functionalities in node B. Just a second. eNode B is responsible for transfer of paging messages.
Okay.
eNode B performs ciphering, deciphering of user plain data and also IP header.
Mhm.
Paging means
Paging means it's a idle mode process actually. Whenever if your UE is scammed and there is no data transfer, suppose I will.
it's like alert your
Suppose,
mobile
yes,
before
suppose.
any incoming call or a message.
Okay, Atul, suppose this is your UE, and if it is connected to attaches happened with this network, and after some time, the data transfer is stopped. You are not sending or receiving any data, so it will go into idle mode. In idle mode, there is a no like connection. It is not a connected mode. So how UE will know that something incoming call is coming or some data transfer downloading has to start. So that will be indicated by MME via S1 interface. This is the S1 interface. So it will come to the UE. I will be explaining you in detail idle mode procedures we have uh, in the this course. So there is a separate idle mode procedure. Many things happen: tau, reselection, those things, and connected mode handovers. There are many things. So better, just a second, I can give you functionalities of this each node. There is another document. Just a second.
Please share this PPT after the completion of class.
Yeah, sure. I will share you documents as well. Yeah, you can note it down some of the functionalities, because in the interview you have to explain a minimum 3-4 features. You have to tell the whoever is taking interview, they should know that you know something about eNode B. So you can write radio resource management. It has a functionality of radio resource management, radio bearer control setup, modification and release of radio bearers, radio admission control. That means it gives the control to UE for radio resources. What is radio resources? You will come to know later. Please note it down this.
Okay.
What is UP data?
What?
UP data. The node B perform keeping and decoupling of UP data.
Node B performs where it is.
UP data.
User
Second
plane.
point.
This one or this one?
Okay.
User plane data.
Yeah. Okay.
Just write these functionalities. Right side.
I think
Hello.
Yes.
What is ciphering and deciphering?
Ciphering.
Yeah, ciphering.
Yeah, ciphering. It's a like whenever UE sends some data in uplink, those will
Okay.
be ciphered. Some CRC bit will be added, and that will be decoded at the eNode B. And similarly, whenever eNode B sends some data to UE, some CRC bit will be added. Some of the it's a decoding decoder. There will be a decoder at eNode B as well as the UE side. That you will come to know later.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, is it fine? So we'll move for MME functionality.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Just a second.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So MME, this is the entity which is responsible for paging messages in ideal mode signaling. It has a UE context. What is the UE context? When attach happens, we will come to know in the attach procedure what are the procedures that MME takes care. Okay, so right now.
Please.
Your voice is not audible actually. Some noise is coming.
If not audible, he can message
Please
in
check
the
your
chat
screen.
box.
Screen. Your screen is not. Hello.
Again.
Hello.
Hello.
I think we have to log in again.
Okay. 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 Fine. I will end up this. Please log in.